Hi, I'm Robert Dutt for ChannelBuzz.ca here at Cisco Canada headquarters with Dave Abreu, Channel Chief for Canada. Dave, thanks for
Well,
taking the time.
thank you. More than welcome, and I'm very happy to be here.
Glad to have the opportunity to catch up. You're some 4 months now or so into the role as Canadian Channel Chief. I guess maybe let's start with how's that gone? How have those 4 months gone, or 3 or 4 months gone?
It's been very interesting. It's been a fantastic journey. I spent the last 4 months going across the country, basically east west. I've been to every city, just about every city. We have partners and offices, and I've met with a ton of partners across the country. It's been a great learning experience to talk to the partners. Also talked to customers, and it's a great opportunity for me to get to know what the partners are looking for, what they're looking for Cisco to provide them, and also what our field teams, frankly, are looking for partners to work with us on. So it's been an absolutely tremendous first 100 days. I'm a little jet lagged from flying around
No
all
doubt.
over the place, but it's been great. I was in St. John's, Newfoundland, Halifax, Montreal, Ottawa, of course in Toronto, Regina, Winnipeg, Calgary, Edmonton, and Vancouver. And I hope to get to some of the smaller cities in the next half of the year when I start traveling again.
All right. Sounds like you're certainly getting out and getting in front of the partners. For those who maybe haven't met you yet, can you give us a little bit of sort of a nickel tour of your time in Cisco and in the channel?
Sure. I've been here for 14 years now with Cisco. I started in the software side of it. I then ran the financial services team. I actually spent a year as the channel account manager for IBM on a national basis. Then I moved into commercial. I ran the commercial business for a few years here, segmenting it from commercial and SMB. And then I moved into the services business. I've been in the services business for the last 4 years. So over that time, those 14 years, I met a ton of the partners that I've worked with, and I went to see again, and others who are new to the business. So it's been a great journey. I've loved every minute of my time at Cisco. It's challenging. But the opportunities and the working with some of the partners and the people we have here in Cisco Canada is just tremendous. It's been a great joy. I enjoy coming to work still, which is something that I always wanted to do.
Always a good thing.
Yeah.
Always a good thing. Now, in taking on the channel chief, you've also got some other roles underneath you with the architecture and solutions group. Can you explain how that all kind of comes together under your leadership?
Well, I think that as we look at the partner side of the business, and then we look at the architecture side, and then the solution side, more and more of it's coming together, as a result of the differentiation in the marketplace. So I don't think the traditional partner pie or networking pie is getting any bigger, but I do think the overall managed services pie and other areas of the business are getting bigger. So when we look at the solution side of it, we're looking at the cloud side, we're looking at the Internet of Everything. And when we look at the architectures, we're looking at the next generation, the data center, the wireless, and all the other pieces that fit. Many of them are very traditional, but also many of them are the next stages of what the evolution of the business is. We used to do only switching and routing, and then we got into IP telephony, and then we got into data center. And it's just an evolution of the business as things get bigger and bigger. We're now into the Internet of Everything, where you do Nike fuel bands, and you do Nest home control devices, and you have sensors in tires, and all of these things where cars now have more compute power than a mainframe had back a long time ago. So those are all things that are evolving in the partnership and evolving the business as it gets bigger and bigger, and all this stuff's got to travel over something and to get back to where you're doing your processing. So I'm excited about it. I'm very, very pumped about it. I think there's a tremendous amount of opportunity. We just have to go and look at it in a different way than we did before. Nitin's always looked at the world. He's always talked about his three lenses, which is around geography, verticals, and technologies. And I think you got to add something else to that now, because what's outside of those three is probably the Internet of Everything, where you see the next generation of where that compute is going to be, or where those sensors are going to be, or where it's anything. It can be anything in the future, because things are becoming so prevalent as we look at the pieces of the Internet of Things and the Internet of Everything. And we look at it in a vertical standpoint, in a solution standpoint, a vertical. You look at it from a healthcare perspective. How can you change healthcare? You look at it from an oil and gas. How do you change the way you do traditional oil and gas and mining, and all those pieces that are now being looked at in a much different way than they were in the past.
All right. Certainly, you've touched, I think, on some of these in your answers. But I'm curious. You've gone out there, you've met with the partners, you've had the early conversations. What are your priorities for the channel group at Cisco heading into 2014?
Well, I have a few of them. Part of what I've looked at and part of what I talked to all the partners about was what do we need to do to enable them to be successful. And one of the areas is obviously from an architectural standpoint. How do we look at their business? What are the pieces of their business that they need to evolve, and we need to help them evolve? Partner profitability is critical to them and their success and their ability to invest in Canada and continue to grow. And then the third one that we've talked about, frankly, is what's the future look like? What does the future look like from a partner model? As I mentioned earlier, the pie is probably not getting bigger in the traditional side of it, but it is getting bigger in the non-traditional, the managed service capabilities, what people are looking for from a different perspective, cloud computing, all the things you hear, all the buzzwords, but all the things that are there today, but we know there's going to be a wave of them in the future that everybody's looking at, and it's going to happen. So how do we enable them to be successful in the changing market that we're looking at right now? And how do we, frankly, how do we together drive both of our success in that marketplace?
One of the big changes certainly we've seen is, or at least partner facing, is this year we've heard a lot about the Internet of Everything from Cisco. That Partner Summit was kind of when the volume got turned up really high on that for the partners. How has acceptance and awareness been around Internet of Everything, and where do you see the partner opportunity around that?
I think it's an evolving marketplace. Now, when we look at the different segments, I talked earlier about oil and gas and those kind of things. We've got instances where companies are coming to us and asking us to look at, how do we enable them to be more successful? And what does that mean? Well, that means things like oil and gas, some of the big trucks in the oil sands having sensors on the tires so that they know when to replace the tires versus having the tires wear out and have problems. And there are all those things. There's a consumer part of it, but a lot of it has to do with the B2B Internet of Everything. Now, everybody predicts it's a $14 trillion potential marketplace. And the ability, the microsization of the technology is enabling you to put sensors just about everywhere. Mm-hmm. Nike fuel bands is one example. Nest thermostats for the home, Nest smoke detectors. Those are just a few things that people are now saying, okay, we can put it on a network, we can monitor it, we can manage it, we can give the consumer access to it. Now, from a business perspective, what are all those things looking like? And we have a group here under Rick Hybris that's looking at the Internet of Everything and what do those things look like? How do you do it from a building perspective? Do you create smart buildings now where you have a single backbone that runs the cooling part of the business, cooling part of the building? It runs the lights. It knows when people are there, so it can turn the lights off, turn the cooling off in a room. It turns it off when they're there. You can preset it. There's all this intelligence that's being built into it, and we frankly have enabled it. We, as a partner group, as technology group, have enabled that to come forward now. There's going to be stuff coming out, frankly, that I don't think we would ever predict. It's an exciting time, as I mentioned, because there's so many of these things that really smart people are thinking about. How do you make life easier for everybody, but also how do you tie it together and make things really work better together? And that's something I think that the Internet of Everything is focusing on, is how do you make things work better, be more efficient, help be fuel efficient, green energy. There's all these different aspects that we never thought about that are coming out.
All right, perfect. What can Cisco partners expect from you personally and from the channel group under your leadership heading into 2014 and potentially beyond?
Well, for me personally, as I said to many of them, what you see is what you get. I'll be very honest with them from the perspective of what we'd like them to do, what we'd expect them to do. From the team, I think the same thing. I think we've got a really good team. I want to make sure that the partners know that I expect open and honest communication both ways, that if there's things that they see that they're not happy with, that they let us know, and they provide input. Partner Summit's one of the reasons for that is to make sure that they provide input. But at any time that, pick up the phone and call me or call members of the team to make sure that we're having this open dialogue. We're only as successful as they are. And that's really, really important that they understand that this is it's a very symbiotic relationship where we need them, they need us. We got to work really well together. We got to figure out how to make things better, and we got to be very open and honest, and frankly, on occasion, blunt with each other to make sure we're doing the right things. I don't think there's any reason that we should not be totally honest with each other, and making sure that each of us is going in the same direction.
All right. Any parting shots for the channel community before we sign this off?
No, I want to say thank you very much. As I say, I'm 4 months into it. It's been very, very exciting. It's been great the first 4 months, the traveling and meeting all the partners. I want to say thank you to all of them for taking the time, for those who took the time to meet me and sit down and talk to me about the business and what they're doing. To those I haven't met yet, I do hope to get a chance to meet you over the coming time. I will be traveling again, and I will take the time. And if you want to drop me a line, feel free about what's going on with your business. And I'm looking forward to helping grow the business, ours and yours together. And as we look at the future, I think there's a lot of great stuff going on, and I'm very, very excited about the potential opportunities we have together.
All right, brilliant. Thanks so much for the time.
Thank you very much.